What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show powered by BetUS. Today, the Blazers played Ratiopharm Ulm in their one annual preseason game against a non-NBA team, and we got you covered with every single post-game. Even after preseason games against non-NBA teams, we're still here, Eric, ready to break things down, at least as best as we possibly could, because today neither of us were in the arena. We just got a good old Jumbotron feed, and unfortunately the Blazers Jumbotron feed is not as easy to watch a game from outside of the stadium as Sacramento's seem to be. So a lot of replays during defensive action. Honestly, Eric, I don't think I'm able to break down like hardly anything at all defensively from this game because it seemed like there was replays playing over half of it. But still, we were able to keep track with this game. We'll break things down. I mean, this is going to be a shortened post-game show, probably under an hour, because ultimately the Blazers played a team that they were 36.5-point favorites going into this game, and they win by 11, 111-100. It was a 3-point game at one point in the second half. This was a very, very close game considering the spread was what it was. And the Blazers struggle from the three-point line, but physically dominate an Ulm team that relied pretty heavily on two guys that are projected first-round picks next year. Noah Sengwe, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists from him, 3 for 6 from 3. And then Ben Serif, I'm probably saying his name wrong, he had 16 points. Those were Ratiopharm's 2 leading scorers. The Blazers, 23 from Scoot. Eric, How was your experience watching this game, number one, and how are you doing?
Oh, my experience was pretty good. I mean, yeah, other than them showing a bunch of replays, it didn't feel like I missed too much of the game, though. So, yeah, I felt like I got a pretty good grasp of it.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's like their feed was zoomed in on whoever had the ball, so it was hard to see anything off the ball, and then went to a lot of baseline cameras, which completely disorienting and made it pretty much impossible for me to really track defense. So
I felt like the second half was a little better, but yeah, first half was like that.
Yeah. Elizabeth House says you said Seraph right, said Noah's wrong. Well, I said Noah's exactly how I heard it on the radio, and I said Seraph different than how I heard it on the radio. I just can't remember how I heard it on the radio, so apparently the radio is completely wrong on both. But yeah, I don't know. We had this debate last year with Tijon Salon and how you say his last name. Is it Saloon? Is it Salon? We're probably going to have a couple players where we're trying to figure out exactly how to pronounce their names all season long. But yeah, this was I don't really know what to make of this game because the Blazers win by 11. You're playing a non-NBA team. Those games are always kind of weird, and these teams from overseas come into these games like trying to win, man, like trying to playing hard, right? A lot of these guys first time on an NBA court, like kind of living out their dream. I assume some of them at least dreamed of making it to the league. Some of them couldn't. Some of them will be in the league here probably next year. But, you always get these kind of scrappy teams that will force some turnovers. Blazers turned over the ball 17 times. And Ulm shot the 3-ball crazy well for a team that's not used to playing from an NBA three-point line. 20 for 46. That's what kept them in this game. The Blazers struggled. They were 1 for 10 in the first half, 5 for 24 from the three-point line. So if you just look at that shooting discrepancy and the fact that the Blazers still won by 11, this looks a lot better. But ultimately, it was an 11-point game in a game that they were favored by 36. So maybe should have got in on the BetUS under spread line. Should have picked Ulm on that spread line. Would have been easy money. But what's kind of your thoughts from this game? Because it's kind of tough to analyze. The discrepancy made it closer than it otherwise would have been. Beyond that, it's NBA players going against a European team like you're supposed to win.
Yeah, one of my main takeaways is so Seraph and Sengu, I think is how you say it. I think they have pretty good size, obviously, for their positions. But my main takeaway was that this was another game. I felt the Sacramento game was the same way. We just played a team with absolutely zero rim protection and no paint presence on defense and no big guy really to to scare you from going in the paint. And in this particular game, Scoot Henderson did a marvelous job of taking advantage of that. And so it was nice to see him maybe hopefully build some confidence, first of all, but second of all, just keep attacking when you can't be stopped and just keep getting to the basket. And he was finishing well in this game. So those are my two main takeaways. I'd like to see some of this stuff play out against a team with, a Rudy Gobert, a solid rim protector, at least back there manning the middle. But I think they played well in terms of attacking. My other main takeaway is, can we please stop with the freaking dribble handoff, dribble handoff, dribble handoff, dribble handoff? That's our whole freaking offense half the game. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so frustrating, man. It doesn't lead to anything. They often turn the ball over out of it. They don't get any action off of it. It's so boring to watch, and it's driving me crazy, man.
Yeah, far too many dribble handoffs. We've complained about that the last couple post-game shows. I hope our complaints about the half-court sets kind of make sense to some people that watch this team and see what they're doing at half-court, man, because my goodness, I can't believe how many dribble handoffs this team is able to get in during a game. It's like they're running double reverses all game long. But I also went to howtopronounce.com and typed in Asenge, and I'm going to play it over. You're not going to hear it, Eric, but I'm going to play it on the stream. We'll see how this website says we're supposed to pronounce it. Aseng. I think that's very wrong. Also, it played over my laptop speakers.
I heard it.
Yeah. Aseng. There ain't no way. There ain't no way it's Aseng. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, we'll try and figure it out because he'll be on big boards for sure. 20 points, man, against an NBA team. Like, it's pretty good for a 17-year-old kid. 3 for 6 from 3. Eric's future draft crush, I've been calling it for months, is Aseng. I don't even know. Noah. I'm going to call him Noah because his first name is Enoy. Looked pretty good today, but half-court offense is just, I swear we have the worst half-court designed offense in the league. Like, the sets we run, I swear we run the worst sets in the league, man. I mean, I watch other teams, and it's like there's at least something creative. I watch us, and it's just like handoff, pick and roll, handoff, pass the ball around the arc, and then isolate or, attack a closeout, which, is good to get the ball moving and stuff. It's just so basic. Our offense is so basic. Too many dribble handoffs. I mean, it's just going to be one of my biggest complaints, and that's the hope, is that, this offense, if it struggles, it results in the termination of Chauncey Billups at the end of the year. Well, it's not really a termination. His contract expires, but definitely.
You do have an option, Tori.
I mean, I don't see how you can pick up this offense, pick up that option with this offense being designed the way it is. I mean, it's just it's like middle school offense, and it's crazy to me. So I'm not going to rant about that, like, beyond this stream, because we've done it in previous streams. So you guys know how I feel if you've watched any previous streams about the half-court offense and some of the stuff the Blazers run. But, individually, you had some good things in this game. I guess we kind of can just focus on the good things. I mean, the biggest thing is Scoot Henderson, 9 for 11 inside the arc. Also had 6 assists with no turnovers. He had that first game where he had 7 turnovers, and people were kind of freaking out about how sloppy he was. Since then, how many assists did he have last game? I believe it was 7.
It was 7, yeah. Yeah,
so since then, 13 assists, 1 turnover. And people will say, oh, it's just preseason. Like, okay, yes, but also, why were you saying it was just preseason when you were freaking out after the first preseason game? You know what I mean? So you take the good with the bad. If you're going to overreact to one thing, you might as well overreact to the good stuff too. 13 assists, 1 turnover in the last 2 games. That's much better than the first preseason game. And also, he had some good finishes today. He's looking sharper with his finishing. I still want to see him do a little bit more with his left hand. We haven't really seen that. We haven't really seen that, but had a couple nice right-handed finishes, and he likes that left side of the hoop, right hand inside finish. He had one where he really exploded to the backboard though, which was good to see. He does look sharper with his dribble, Eric. I will give him that. You compare some of his ball handling miscues early last season, and he still had a couple moments this preseason where he's kind of like fumbled the ball off a handoff or off the dribble, but I will say his ball handling does look sharper. I think that's a plus. And then he's kind of playing more under control, and in this game just attack downhill. Now, when he has inefficient nights is when he can't attack downhill or he's forcing stuff in a paint with legitimate rim protectors, which, of course, Ratiopharm, they don't have NBA-level rim protectors. So, you can't really read too much into it, into him going 10 for 14 in a game like this, because this is kind of what his good games in the G League would look like, right? He would just get to the rim, finish a bunch. The question is, okay, when you can't get to the rim or you have to finish tougher shots in the lane, can you finish those tougher shots? And then if you can't get to the rim, can you consistently hit mid-range jumpers? Can you consistently hit threes? He's 1 for 3 in this game. So, there really isn't much to write home about with his finishing. I just like some of the touch he had on a couple of his finishes in this game, and I hope that they translate up to a higher level like you talked about him playing against legit rim protectors, legitimate NBA competition.
Right. 2 dunks this game. That's good to see him throw it down instead of lay it in a couple times. But I really hope this is something that he continues to do moving forward, and that's when he takes it into the body of the defender, powers up and goes off 2 feet and goes strong up to the hoop. It feels like with his strength, he could really create a little bit of space, and then he can, jump well out of that and get up towards the rim. So it's not going to get blocked a ton if he creates that space. Like I said, I'd like to see it against a true shot blocker, but I thought he did a really good job a couple times in this game when there was a defender between him and the basket of kind of going into the body without being out of control and just creating a little bit of space and then going up strong instead of just trying to flip up a shot on the run or whatever like he normally does.
Yep.
I will say, though, so in regards to the driving, because Banton, when he was in the game, it was the same thing. Like, it's all just drives, and it worked this game because they didn't really play any defense. But, that can't be your offense. It's just having those 2 guys drive the whole game, and especially against good perimeter defenders that shut it down. So you have to have some sort of action to counter that when defenses aren't allowing the penetration from those 2. And I have no confidence that this team has that.
Yeah, 100%. And part of the problem you run into when you play an NBA team and you shoot 5 for 24 from the three-point line, they're just going to pack the paint. And it's going to be much harder to deal with than against this team. This team could have packed the paint, and the Blazers still would have had no issues, right? You got to shoot better than 5 for 24 from 3. I think we're going to have a lot of nights like this where the Blazers shoot 5 for 24 from 3, though. And it's funny because, the first preseason game, Clingan and Ayton combined to go 3 for 3 from 3. In this game, Ayton hits his only 3. So maybe the three-point shot is a legitimate thing with Ayton this year. Maybe he's actually going to shoot some and make some, right? But he's 1 for 1. The rest of the team 4 for 23. It's just bad, man. Repair 0 for 3. You had Minaya 0 for 3. Reith 0 for 3. Banton 0 for 2. Kamara 1 for 3. Scoot 1 for 3. Chris Murray's 2 for 5. Shout out to him. That's 40%. Good job. It's just brutal shooting, and the problem is when you just run dribble handoff, you're not really shifting the defense. And that's the problem with their half-court offense. They don't do a good job of shifting the defense and giving themselves advantages. So then you're just trying to attack a set defense that already is playing further off shooters than they would defend most teams in the NBA, simply because teams don't really have to respect the Blazers shooting like they do other NBA squads. So, you're attacking a set defense, you're not doing anything to create advantages, and then they're able to pack the paint. Yeah, it's going to be really tough to get downhill and score, and that's why, Scoop might have some nights where he's just forcing stuff at the rim against, like, a packed paint. But at times it's like I can't really blame him. Like, I would like to see him make the right pass even if it's not a good three-point shooter. But it's like the offense, that's why I talked about in the first preseason game. Like, are we setting Scoot up for the best success in terms of his development? Like, he has to create a lot of the advantages himself, whether just trying to turn the corner off a pick and roll, ISO, or pushing the pace in transition. It's not really like the ball's going to swing back to him and he's having gaps to attack. It's just the half court offense is just kind of miserable. So that's where you hope that you got Jeremy Grant to start the season, you got Anthony Simons to start the season, Avdia. He shot 37% last year. Like, hopefully that starting lineup has enough shooting. You got Sharp back too. He shot 33% last year. I don't know exactly what he is as a high-volume three-point shooter yet, efficiency-wise, but hopefully you do have enough shooting to at least create more space, because I think this team would thrive. Like, guys like Scoot, Ant, even Banton, Avdia, like, these guys would thrive if they were able to just drive the lane and have a little bit more space and have shooters on easy kick-out passes. So offense is a lot harder in the NBA when you can't shoot. There's a reason the three-point shot has dominated the game in recent years. And, the Blazers just, you look at a game like this and they get outshot by a European team. 20 for 46 from Ratiopharm. Blazers 5 for 24. Just brutal shooting night. Like, you can physically dominate a team like this on the interior. You can run the floor against a team like this because you're just more athletic. That's the difference. But outside of that, man, I mean, it's just like skill-wise in a game like this, I don't really know if I noticed like an edge on the Blazers side of things. So, yeah, I wouldn't be mad if they went out and got like a veteran shooter. I know we're focused on like, yeah, we need to go young, we need to trade veterans, but I do think it would be good for our young players if there was more shooting on this team.
Dougie Buckets just signed with Sacramento.
Yeah.
Was that today or yesterday? So he's off the market. Get your boy Corey Kispert.
Hey, man, I would love Corey Kispert in a Blazer uniform. My guy, Gonzaga legend right there. I mean, that's why I was intrigued by Dalton Connect with the 7th overall pick. Speaking of our 7th overall pick, Eric, you want to talk about our 7th overall pick?
Yeah, but real quick before we move on to Clingan, I just want to say, so a lot of their 46 threes were generated off of open shots by collapsing the defense and kicking out, and they didn't really have, Seraph is okay at it, but they don't have like a Scoot level penetrator. Yeah. So like, how are they able to create open shots out of their offense while we're like either getting to the basket or struggling to get open shots? You know what I mean?
My question is, how many of their drives where they actually were able to collapse the defense? How many of them started by going one-on-one?
There was a lot more pick and roll.
Exactly. It's pick and roll, yes. Listen, you can't just run pick and roll offense. You got to be a little bit more creative. The problem is the Blazers don't guard the pick and roll well enough.
No.
So that's a wart from this game.
But see, this is the problem. It's like it's already setting up to have Jeremy Grant ISO a bunch in a game because we're not gonna create any advantages with the stupid weave and trying to drive, and then we're going to have to kick it to Jeremy, and he's going to go one-on-one for the last 10 seconds of the shot clock. You can already see it happening. And at least when we have Anthony, he'll have to force shots, but at least he runs a lot more pick and roll than we've ran without him so far. So at least we have that kind of thing to look forward to, but that can be taken away if that's our only real way to create a mismatch or whatever. So it's going to be frustrating because we can already tell it's about to happen, right?
Yeah, 1,000%, man. So it's just like Chauncey says, "Oh, I'm a much better coach than I was 3 years ago." You bring in this new assistant coaching staff. Okay, what's different? What is different? And I would love that to be a question after we see the same exact stuff as last year. Like, once we get 5, 6, 7 games into the season, like, that needs to be a question. Okay, Chauncey, what is different from last year in terms of what you guys are doing on offense or defense? Because they're going to run drop scheme. You already know that, right? They ran drop scheme last year. So what are you improving on as a coach? Like, what? It's just, I don't get it, man. He says he's better as a coach, improving as a coach. You bring in new assistant coaching staffs. It all looks the same. It doesn't really seem like they're working on anything offensively this preseason. And yeah, I'm just tired of this. I'm just tired of the half court offense. It's how many times this preseason have we seen them try to do like 3 dribble handoffs in a row and like one of them gets disrupted. Like, when you run so many DHOs, defenders can cheat it. And especially when it like the DHO has to happen in order to progress with the play. If you just deny that, you completely disrupt the entire offense, and then the offense is out of structure. And then it becomes you kick to somebody and they ISO, or you kick to somebody and just run a pick and roll to try and save the possession. And that's the problem with our half-court sets. You deny one of these DHOs, and it's like guys don't do a good enough job going backdoor. Some of that on the players, I guess. But it's like you can tell the Blazers are like, we have to force this dribble handoff. We have to. And there's times where they like try so hard to force it that defenders getting a hand on the ball and like tipping it out to half court. We saw that a couple times in this game. And these aren't NBA athletes, but you could tell they figure out what's coming. It's dribble handoff offense. And it's just ridiculous stuff, man. Like the pass moves faster than a player, right? The ball moves faster than a player, right? Except if all your passes are like each player has to bring the ball to the next guy. Right. So the half-court offense is a disaster right now. It's the biggest issue with this team. And you can look at just lack of shooting. They need to shoot better. Yes, 100%. Right, I'll be one of the first to say it. But, I mean, if all you're doing is dribble handoffs, does that even matter? Like, it's just not good design. So, hopefully they just haven't had enough time to institute some creative stuff. Or maybe Chauncey will have an epiphany at some point. But at this point, man, it's kind of brutal to watch. It's not fun. You said it earlier. It's not fun.
As for Clingan, though, yeah, I mean, of course he rebounded well this game. That's, to be expected when you have no good big men on the other team. Other than that, I wish, especially against a smaller team, he would take his time a little bit more and finish stronger. That could be one of his, or not could be, it definitely is one of his biggest weaknesses right now. He's just a little too careless around the rim with not finishing strong.
Fans are going to be like completely hating on him at the end of the year for his finishing.
Yeah, I don't know about hating.
Oh, they will. They will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with like look at what happens with Scoot, man. He has he struggles as a rookie, as a 19-year-old, and you see the narrative around him. There's going to be people that are just pulling their hair out by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Blazer fans that maybe like Clingan right now. He's going to get a ton of heat for his finishing, which he absolutely needs to finish stronger, right? He's 7'2". He's flipping up shots like beneath the rim, like trying to do all these like double clutch reverses. Like, dude, you're 7'2". You have a 9'7" stand and reach. Just take the ball to the rim and try and dunk it. Every time he's under the hoop, he needs to just try and dunk it. And it's the same thing people hated about Nurkic. So trust me, Clingan's going to get a ton of heat.
That's what I was going to say. I thought you were going to say Nurkic instead of Scoot a minute ago. Yeah. But yeah, I think people just started to turn on Nurkic at some point, but I don't know if it'll be in the first season. But yeah, I mean, if he's...
You sure about that, though?
No, I'm not sure about that.
Because fans overreact to small sample sizes, man. It's just the way it is. Like, people are going to pull their hair out with Clingan, I think, by the end of the year. Like, he's going to have a bunch of people that are just like... maybe I'm overstating it. It's just after seeing what happened to Scoot last year, it's like this dude's finishing is kind of frustrating. When you're 7'2", 9'7" standing reach, and you're trying to finish like that, it's not good. It's not good. Go dunk the ball. Especially in a game like this. Who's their rim protector? They had this dude that looked like a football lineman. That looked like 6'9", that looked like he could probably jump like 5 inches off the ground. Like, just big, thick dude. It's like, dude, you're 7'2". You're right there at the rim. You're like the stuff where he's under the rim. And instead of just like reaching up and just trying to finish at the rim, he's like shooting it from his shoulder. It kind of frustrates me. Like I can put that frustration aside and be like, okay, he's young, but dude, hopefully this dude at some point realizes he's 7'2" when he's trying to finish under the rim.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah, I felt like he, aside from the finishing, felt like he was reaching a little too much on
Yeah.
defense. I felt like this is the type of team if you just held your ground and went straight up or tried to locate the shot once they shoot it. I felt like he would have had a much stronger defensive game than he did.
To give Chauncey credit, that is something that I don't know if Clingan said Chauncey was working on it with him or Chauncey said it, but that is something Chauncey's been working on him with. So,
yeah.
credit to Chauncey.
Colonel Pancake says he fumbles a lot of rebounds. I think it's more just like he gets his hands on a lot of rebounds that are not necessarily in his exact vicinity. So like his reach is so long, he can get to balls that like non-lengthier players can't get to. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really had an issue with his hands on offense catching the ball. I felt like it's been pretty good in terms of not having stone hands or whatever, like we've seen from some of our bigs in the past. So I don't know. I don't know if that's just. I think the jury's still out on that one, how his hands are. But
I think he gets bumped off a lot of those rebounds, just like he'll get moved and not catch it because of it. So I think base strength is also part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, he is getting pushed around a little bit, too. And once again, against the team. I mean, I know that you said that guy looked like a lineman, so that might have been it. But, yeah, you shouldn't look like you're getting outplayed physically in a game like this if you're a NBA big man.
Yep. He just needs to be better finishing, man. I mean, he's 2 for 7 in a game like this. And let's see, none of them were threes. I mean, you're 7'2", so it's all constructive stuff though. Like, this is something the coaching staff needs to emphasize with him is how to effectively finish as a 7'2" behemoth at the rim, right? And that's part of the reason why I think it will be frustrating for people is like it'd be one thing if he was 6'8" and ground bound, right? He's 7'2", so it's just like he should be able to finish well around the rim. Ultimately, I think I'll get there, but I do think it's going to be like a multi-year process just getting him to effectively finish around the rim at a high enough level. Or at least as high of a level as he should be given his size.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's just like the little stuff he'll do, right? And that's why it'll be easier for me to have patience with him because he sets good screens, he passes, defense, all that stuff. I think learning how not to foul is going to be a learning curve. I think these are the two biggest learning curves for Clingan. And if he struggles his rookie year, it's going to be because of those two reasons, the finishing around the rim and fouling too much on defense. Because I don't think, I think he's going to give people fits trying to finish in the paint around him. But it's like there's a couple plays where he could have easily just blocked a shot just going vertical and he's reaching down. And you're going to get called for fouls. Or like body positioning. He's jumping into guys a little bit too much. Sometimes guys drive at you and you're trying to challenge them at the rim. You kind of got to jump away with them and jump with them instead of jumping up where there's going to be contact. Because while that technically is not supposed to be a foul if you jump straight up, like refs see that contact and half the time they'll call it in the NBA because the NBA benefits the offense. So for him, it's learning that and learning how he has to defend in order to not foul. So defending without fouling and finishing around the rim, the biggest two things to focus on with Clingan this season.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one thing about not fouling as well is you can learn that you don't always have to block the shot to be an effective rim protector. Like, sometimes it's just making yourself big and, having that presence around the rim where they have to alter their shot to get around you. And sometimes that's just as good as a block shot. And then you can be in position to get a rebound too as well. So, like, it's not necessarily like a block, like he needs to block 3 shots a game or something like that. I think it's just more just how many shots he affects or how many people he deters from going inside and trying to score on him.
Yep. Agreed. Tamani's stat line is something. 15 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. I like the assists, man. 3 turnovers. But 5 for 15 from the field, not a super efficient night from him tonight. He did have a couple good finishes. He's been good this preseason, so not really going to read too much into that finishing number. I'm just curious to see where his efficiency is at, like 10 to 12 games into the season. It's kind of hard to tell off of preseason games, just kind of where he's going to be at as a scorer, both at the rim and from the three-point line. I don't know. You can jump in if you want to talk about any of these players.
Yeah, Kamara just. I mean, a lot of his rebounds were off his own misses.
Yeah.
How many shot attempts did you say he had?
15. He had 4 offensive rebounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he showed some good things, and still work in progress, though. I mean, I don't expect him to be this perfect elite role player like we all think he could possibly be someday right away, but I think you can definitely see the work he put in the offseason, so
yeah.
I'm not going to get too hard on him off one bad shooting night. Hopefully he, if he's going to take 15 shots in a game, he can't score only 15 points though.
Yeah.
Like if you're not like one of the big scorers, you can't be taking that many shots if you're not making a good percentage.
You can just tell he's moving different though. Like he's more under control with a lot of his drives. Like his balance is better. So that's a positive. And a lot of guys going from their rookie to second year in the league will improve their balance, improve their overall strength, and just move better in general. I think you can even say the same about Scoot going into year 2 right now. He just, that's the thing with Scoot is like people will hyper focus on his box scores, but I think he's moving better, man. I think he looks sharper with some of his movement, with his handle, his movement off the dribble, that sort of stuff. So I think that's kind of the start of hopefully a second year breakout for him. You know, there's a lot more that goes into that. Let's see. Ayton, I mean, he's shot some threes. He's shot, 4 threes? At least 4 threes in preseason so far.
3 of them?
And made 3 of them. I like the ones from the corner, Eric, because that's closer to his bread and butter, which is the mid-range, right? It's a shorter 3 from the corner. I like him taking that step back when he's on the baseline to the corner.
Mm-hmm. Well, it didn't even look that hard for him to hit that.
Not at all.
Looked smooth, yeah.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, dude, like if you can shoot 50% from 15 or 16 feet or whatever he shot, it feels like 50%. He's one of the most efficient mid-range shooters in the league. Like, you should be able to step back to a corner 3 and hit 35%, right? Yeah. So I just like that more. Just get that extra point, man, because 35% from 3 is more efficient than 50% from 2. Just plain and simple. And you know, if he's shooting 35, 36% from 3, it drags that rim protector away from the paint a little bit more, right? So he absolutely needs to be shooting corner 3s. The ones up top, I'm not as confident in. We've seen him airball one of those, but just shoot 3s. This team's gonna struggle anyway. This team is not a good 3-point shooting team. Ayton absolutely needs to be shooting open 3s and just trying to add that to his game. Like, he's playing for a rebuilding team as a guy that's 26 years of age. Like, even if the percentages aren't good, it's something he needs to try to add. If he's not going to add it right now in a season like this, when is he ever going to add a 3-point shot? So I like that he shot some. I would like to see 2-3 attempts per game from him at least from the 3-point line. And just see what the percentages look like. I just feel like he's had stretches where he's maybe shot like 1 a game for a month and then kind of trailed off during some of his time in Phoenix, and then he barely shot 3s last year. Like, he needs to consistently shoot 3s because I feel like we don't know exactly what he'd be as a 3-point shooter because we've never seen it.
Yeah, also when he goes to the corner, it just takes his defender a little bit more away from the paint, and then if they don't, then he's getting wide open corner 3s off the kick out. So if he's going to spot up in that range, I completely agree to just back up.
Yep. Avdia, 6 for 9, 18 points, 3 assists, 3 turnovers. You know, it's just going to be interesting to see him operate in this offense. I feel like he's getting used to a new team. You can kind of tell, and I don't know. He had a good stat line tonight, so I'll take that. I'm curious to see what he looks like once the games start counting, because I feel like he hasn't looked as good as he did in Washington yet, but that's 100% to be expected.
Yeah, I thought he was really good using his body to be physical on his finishes tonight. But once again, they didn't really have a guy his size even. I mean, Sengu was like, he's like a twig compared to Denny. So, I do like how Denny uses his body to finish, and it looked like he's bigger than he was last year. Put on some weight this offseason. So if he can continue to be able to create space with that extra weight and finish, I think that's a really good sign. Unfortunately, I haven't really seen much in terms of outside shooting and playmaking outside of a couple plays that lob last game or whatever. So still don't really know how he's going to fit in that way. Although we did have one, once again, a really nice look-ahead pass to Scoot for the dunk. That was good to see him looking up the court. Yeah. And he also had a couple times where Scoot was getting kind of harassed in the backcourt, and they threw it to Denny, and he was able to bring the ball up and set up the offense. So I like having that alternative as well. But yeah, it's kind of hard to tell if the finishes he had in this game will translate against NBA players. But I do like that he has that ability to get to the hoop and finish, get to the free throw line too.
Yeah, I don't know if adding bulk is a good thing for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's more like a power forward now.
But I mean, last year, like, there's a lot of plays where he just blew by guys with speed. Mm-hmm. At 6'9", like, being able to do that is a good thing, man. And he was still strong enough to, like, dish out contact, absorb contact, right? And then he's able to slide his feet and move laterally. I just don't know if extra weight necessarily, like, helps him, because I think it might hurt some of that lateral quickness, might hurt some of that straight line speed. And is he making up for it with being able to, like, dish contact and finish? I don't know. He was doing that last year at a lighter weight. So, some guys, like, adding strength, definitely good. Adding weight, definitely good. Like, a guy like Clingan would be great, right? But other guys, a guy like Avdia, I don't know. I don't know. And that's where it's like, okay, I want to see what he looks like over this full season compared to last year. And, maybe it's something where he should not bulk up as much. He definitely does look stronger. I definitely agree with that. And then the other starter we haven't talked about, Repair, started off this game brutally, had like 3 straight just awful turnovers. 5 turnovers in this game for Repair, 1 assist. It's not good. It's not good. Just too sloppy, just not reading the defense, and especially with it not being an NBA defense. Like, he's 4 for 8. He's 4 for 5 inside the arc, had some nice drives, nice finishes, had a nice spin move. Like, you like to see that, man. I still think he needs to get a little stronger, considering he's not the burstiest guy in order to actually, like, drive and turn the corner against NBA defenses. The 3-point shot I'm worried about. I'm worried that last year he had a hot shooting stretch to start the year, and that was more so just a hot shooting stretch and not really indicative of what he is as a shooter, which we expected him to struggle as a shooter coming into the league. And then last year it was like, oh man, maybe he's just ahead of schedule with his shot, because he shot the cover off the ball the first 2/3 of the year in the G League and in the NBA. Preseason, he struggled with his shot. He was 0 for 3 from 3 today. So I'm a little worried about, okay, maybe he is the 3-point shooter that we thought he was coming into the league.
Yeah, maybe. Seems like he's just forcing it a little bit. Like, he's not always open when he shoots. It's not always the best look or the cleanest look. And then he's getting baseline, which I like, but he picks up his dribble underneath the hoop and then gets in the air, and that's leading to a lot of times where he has to throw a bad pass, and sometimes it gets through and he's fine, but a lot of times tonight it seemed like he just kind of got up in the air without a plan of action, and then had to throw it to try and get past the defender, and it wasn't working. So some of the things he's doing are still encouraging, but he's definitely going to have to find a way to put it all together while also making sure you're taking good shots from three to keep that percentage a little higher, hopefully.
Yep. Before we jump into the bench, guys, I'd like to give a quick shout-out to our sponsor for this edition of Blazers Uprise Live, which is, of course, BetUS. They're offering you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, 125% sign-up bonus on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000 with promo code YouTube150. And you can get in on the action. Spread lines are one of our favorite things to look at. Like I said, the Blazers were almost a 40-point favorite in this game, won by 11. You could have made bank if you saw this performance coming, which, listen, I don't expect the Blazers to ever beat any team by 30 points, even if they're from Europe. So you can try your luck over at BetUS. You can try and cash in on some NBA specials, spread lines as the season starts. We'll pick spreads on our second channel starting next Wednesday, a week from today. And if you want to get in 1 week away from picks against the spread, if you want to get in on any action, it can be NFL, baseball, college basketball, if you want to take an interest in that. With a phenomenal NBA draft class coming up, you can place a little money on a team to win it all. You can place a little money on a spread line for a game you want to scout. Just have some fun with BetUS. Please bet responsibly. Shout out to them for sponsoring the stream. Let's talk about bench players, Eric. Chris Murray's been pretty good this preseason, and we heard he's playing well during camp. And in this game, 14 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, no turnovers, plus 10, 2 for 5 from 3, 6 for 9 from the field. He's 4 for 10 from 3 in his first 3 preseason games. Okay, if he can be a 37, 38% three-point shooter, it just makes him much easier to play because his defense is solid. Not great, but it's solid. He plays some solid defense. He can make the right pass. Ball's not going to stick to him. And then, he can attack a closeout and get into the paint and, finish occasionally. The problem is he needs guys closing out on him to be able to, effectively drive the lane. Last year we saw guys not really respecting his three-point shot because he shot 27%, and a lot of his drives turned into robotic back downs because he wasn't beating anybody off the dribble because we know he's not the greatest athlete. But if he's knocking down threes, man, it just makes some of those drives a little bit more functional where he's actually beating guys off the dribble, and then we've seen him be able to make a dump-off pass or finish. So I'm hopeful that this shooting that we've seen in 3 preseason games is legitimate, given that we had a full season last year of him shooting under 30% from 3. It's going to take a lot more for me to believe in his three-point shot. But it's a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just got to keep being consistent with it. And I do like how he mixes it up on the floor. He's always seems to be crashing the boards well. Like we said, he's a solid defender. I don't know. He does seem to know how to play the game of basketball. He just might not be good enough at it, if that makes sense. But I think absolutely that if he can consistently hit the 3, that makes it a lot more easier to warrant him getting minutes on this team. Otherwise, I don't really see how it can work out for him.
Yeah. Clingan, we talked about. Mania played 15 minutes. Mania looks exactly the same as he did last year, where he just can't make a 3 and literally has no statistical production whatsoever. He played 15 minutes. You remember last postgame show when I said his stat line and it was basically he did absolutely nothing?
Yeah.
Today, 15 minutes, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 steals, 0 blocks. 0 for 3 from 3. That is the prototypical Justin Mania stat line. And it just sucks because he shot the
except
three
for
ball.
Summer League.
He shot the 3 ball well in Summer League. I was like, oh, maybe he can be a 3-and-D guy, hustle guy. Maybe he's turning the corner as a shooter. And then for him to come to the preseason, it's just prototypical Tony Snell-esque Justin Mania stat lines. Just disappointed, man.
Well, speaking of the Tony Snell stat line, there's also another bench player who almost had a O for in all the categories, but managed to pick up a stat or two.
Who was that?
Uprise.
Yeah, he was also 0 for 3 from 3. 0 points, 1 rebound, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks.
He got that 1 rebound.
So instead of 1 assist, he got 1 rebound. So those guys, 24 minutes, and they combined for 0 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist on 0 for 6 shooting from 3. Funny, man. I mean, Dua, I don't know. He's not playing much. And last year, we'd see him play like 9 minutes and just not look good. But then when he'd get 28 minutes, he'd have like 17 points and go like 3 for 7 from 3. I think he's just a rhythm player that needs minutes to have a rhythm. He's not a guy that you should be playing like 8, 9 minutes. You either should be playing him 18, 19 so he can catch a rhythm offensively, or he should be your third stringer and like not subbing into the game unless there's foul trouble and you like have to play him.
Yeah, absolutely. I still feel like we're kind of wasting our two-way spots.
Yeah. I mean, Mania McGowan's, man, I don't know. McGowan's is a name. He's never going to be anything in the NBA. Like, you can tell. He's just one of those, like, skinny scorers that doesn't shoot the ball well enough. And he's not, like, athletically dominant enough or quick enough or strong enough to, like, consistently get to the rim. And he's not going to make plays for others. Like, those archetypes of players don't really pan out.
And speaking of that, we signed another Charlotte cast-off. Will probably be on our G League team.
Well, our G League team is going to be disgusting, but also it might be really good. like we're just Bryce McGowan's and James Bouknight taking turns chucking shots. I don't know, man. We're gonna be probably a good offensive G League team though. So if you like buckets and no defense, the Rip City remix got you covered. Speaking about buckets and no defense, Banton 4 for 6 on the field today, 0 for 2 from 3, 11 points. 4 assists, 3 turnovers. His 3 turnovers were some of the worst of the night, man. Just like losing a dribble, getting it pickpocketed. I don't know what it is with Banton for me, Eric. I just cannot get on board. Well, even in a game like this, he's 4 for 6 from the field, right? 11 points, 4 assists in 16 minutes. And I just, like, coming out of this game, I'm just like, no, I just cannot get on board with him. And I don't know what it is for me at some points, because statistically he looks good, but just the eye test-wise, I don't know. He kind of frustrates me.
Yeah, I mean, the 4 assists, it's kind of misleading sometimes, because when you are dribbling the ball and handling it that much, sometimes you just throw a grenade to someone and they have to shoot it and they hit a 3 or something, and you get credit for assist. But
yeah, when he's in, he always has the ball.
Yeah,
it's actually impressive how he just always has the ball.
His usage rate's like 100% when he's in the game.
Dude, like his time of possession, man, is phenomenal. You know, like in football, you want to have a high time of possession, man. Maybe he doesn't realize that in basketball, right? As a player, you're not supposed to possess the ball 90% of the time. Obviously, I'm over exaggerating. It just feels like yeah, he's just always on the ball. He's always dribbling the ball until he can figure out how to score himself, and then if he has to kick it out, he will. Or if he has to dump it off, then okay, they don't do it. That's like kind of a last resort. It's just how I feel like his game is. And then he ends up with 4 assists because he always has the ball, and he's either going to shoot or he's going to pass to somebody else that's going to shoot. And I don't know. I don't know, man.
Sven said his usage rate was higher than Luka last year. Is that true?
I'll have to look it up because that would make me feel justified. Because part of me is like, man, maybe I'm being too hard on him for no reason at all. But that would make me feel a little bit more justified. So Banton's usage rate in a Blazer uniform last year was 27.2.
Oh no, that's not higher.
That's not higher than Luka's. I don't feel justified. Yeah. Luka's was 36.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lucas should be 36, right? But I mean, what was Anthony Simons? Obviously, Banton's playing with somewhat a tanking team, so like, yes, he's going to take a lot of shots, but it's like Anthony Simons was 28 last year, which is by far a career high. And Banton's was almost equal in a Blazer uniform, right? I don't know. I just wish he was more of an off-ball guy.
Alice is in the fact that we have to double check to see if it was higher than Lucas tells me all you need.
Yeah, the lasting memory, the final game, was him going 0 for 15 from 3.
Yeah.
That's the lasting memory. Like, he's confident, but...
I mean, for those that didn't hear us talk about Banton last year, this is what it is for me. I know he can go 4 for 6 and score, make some tough shots, get to the rim and finish at some weird angles. He had one off the wrong foot. He gets downhill and he's hard to stop getting to the basket. I know he can do that. I want to see him do something else. Like, I want to see him expand his game because I feel like he could get into the paint. He's got the size and length to be a distributor and get passes off to the corners and maybe generate some offense for someone other than himself as well. And so I want to see him evolve into that. There's people who can come in the game and be high volume scorers. Those guys are a dime a dozen. Like, there's hundreds of those guys who aren't even in the NBA right now. And if you gave them the same opportunity you're giving Banton, they could probably do something similar if they're getting the type of shots he's getting and the amount of volume of having the ball in his hands all the time and things like that. So, I mean, look at who was the guy? Skylar. What was his name last year? Skylar Mays. Yeah. I mean, look at his stats when he started a few games. You know, like it's fine. Like we know you can score, dude. I just want to see him affect the game in another way. And he doesn't play defense, and he does occasionally put up some assist numbers, like I said, just from passing the ball or running a dribble handoff and someone shoots off of it. But like, I just want to see him have some sort of impact on someone other than himself in the game.
Yeah. Skylar Mays, for reference, in 2022-2023, played 6 games at the end of the season with the Portland Trailblazers, averaged 15 points and 8 assists per game, shooting 46% from 3, 50% from the field. It's just like Banton dribbles a lot. He's on the ball a lot. I feel like against legitimate NBA defenders, he is not strong enough of a ball handler to handle it as much as he wants to. And then off the ball, like, not much of a shooter. Oftentimes he catches it and turns it into ISOs. Like, he can score against lesser opponents, smaller guys, lesser defenders, right? It's just, I don't know. You saw in this game, man, he just had a few moments of ball handling that was like, that's brutal for a dude that's playing point. And, you know, he's a ball handling forward, right? But the problem is he plays so much on the ball, he basically is a point. So it's just, how does he function on the court next to Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, and Scoot Henderson? Mm-hmm. We didn't really see him play next to lineups of that caliber at all last year. We picked him up after the deadline and we bench all these guys, right? So it's like, okay, how does he work when he's not bringing the ball up and he's the 5th guy? Can he be effective offensively? That's a major question for me.
Yeah. And that's something I'm not confident that he can affect a game without dribbling it a bunch, you know?
Yep. 100%.
And you don't want him shooting like a bunch too, or having the ball in his hands when like Anthony and Scoot's in the game as well.
Yep. Anyway, that's all the players I wanted to get into. We're gonna wrap up this stream here in a second. Friday will probably be live 2.5 hours, Eric. That'll be the final stream from the OG Blazers Uprise studio. Well, it's not the OG studio because that's all the way back to a different place, but the place I've been streaming on for the past 5 years, Friday is going to be the final stream from there. And then Saturday, I get keys to a house.
Woo!
So that's exciting. Yeah, so I'm going to pour a toast. Okay, I'm going to pour a toast on Friday. We'll see how much champagne I drink, but that'll be the final stream from there. I haven't streamed from there in like a month and a half. So, I need to go back one last time. I've been kind of all over the place. So hopefully you guys can join us Friday. I'll stream extra long just because it's gonna be a little like, I don't want to say bittersweet because it is sweet. Like, it is nice. I'm renting a pretty decent house, so that's exciting. But it's just a lot of memories in that place, Eric. A lot of memories in that place for me and for a lot of people. So just want to go back there one last time, and then we move on to, I'm gonna have a decked out studio, so that's pretty cool. And speaking of pretty cool, my guy Connor, the legend himself, Connor with the $100 donation. Shout out to my guy Connor. He said, before we go, I heard y'all were trying to flex without me last week. He's speaking about the dono war that people had in our chat last week, and he wasn't here. I called him on stream at like 1 a.m. It was a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. He didn't pick up. He was sleeping. Connor normally is here for the dono wars.
He tried to say he didn't flip you to voicemail, but
that's what he told me. But you heard it. It rang 3 times and it went to voicemail. Whose phone only rings 3 times and then goes to voicemail if they're not hit and cancel? So I think he did it in his sleep, which I can't blame him. But he has to prove his dominance with the $100 donation. Thank you, Connor. I appreciate it, man. You're a legend. And yeah, make your name heard, man. I love it.
I don't think the other people who were flex on each other even here tonight. So
shout out Jason Hawley, $20 donation. Yeah, I don't know if they are. Shout out to Jason Hawley though, $20 donation. Says, I heard your thoughts on the win versus tank take. Totally agree. Development should be the focus, but concerned about players' morale and buy into that. Thoughts? Also, stupid joke. What you think about Aunt Caitlin Clark backcourt? Hey, our 3-point shooting would be better with Caitlin Clark on the team. I'll say that. But yeah. I mean, ultimately, you give guys opportunities, young players, and they should eat it up, right? So I'm not too worried about young guys buying in. That's not really a concern for me. It's just how hard are they going to try to win games at the expense of development is my biggest worry. Thank you, Jason, for the donation. Eric, your thoughts before we head out of here?
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing everything possible to win games and you just can't do it, maybe that starts to wear on you. But, I mean, it's pretty obvious, like last year when we're trying to pull the plug and not playing certain players and stuff like that, that it's not like, oh man, this is how it has to be for like the rest of your career. So I do think there are some growing pains. I mean, look, last year was the first year SGA. He might have played in his rookie year with the Clippers, maybe. Mm-hmm. But that was the first year he made the playoffs in his entire career. It's not like anyone's worried about this year. Like, will he be good enough? Like, did all those years of tanking lead to him not being able to win in the playoffs if they make it there this year? I don't know. I don't think that stuff matters. The only thing that does matter, I think, a little bit is when it comes to someone like Anthony Simons, and if Jeremy Grant's still on the team, he's got such a different personality, he might not even care. But especially with Anthony Simons, I don't think it's a thing about learning how to lose or whatever, but it's a guy who I don't think is going to handle it well if he gets benched with some fake injury for 40 games this year or 30 games or whatever. Like, I just felt like he got really frustrated at the end of last season having to do that again for the 3rd straight season. Yeah. And he just wants a chance to play and show what he can do on the court without being limited by the team or being sat out games. And so I think that's the only kind of concern I have being a tanking team this season. But if that plays out that way, I mean, he's probably getting traded in the offseason anyway, so it doesn't matter. or he's just so good that like we end up wanting to keep him and have him be a part of the course. So I think that'll all play out. So I'm not really worried about tanking versus winning or whatever.
Yep. Agreed with everything. That's going to be a wrap. Sorry to cut the stream short, but we're going to be live for a while on Friday, celebrating the end of preseason, celebrating the final stream from the OG studio. So hopefully you guys can make it out. We'll take a lot of time to answer all questions and talk with chat then, because there will be a preseason recap video as well. Shout out to Connor once again. Connor's going to help me buy the champagne for that final toast. And shout out to Jason for his contribution as well. Appreciate you guys. Eric, final words.
Thanks, guys, and thank everyone for watching. Appreciate you all. Hope you have a good evening, and we'll see you on Friday night.
Yep, Eric, you better have the champagne ready as well. And with that being said, a toast to BetUS for sponsoring this stream, and we're out of here. We will catch you guys on Friday. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to the season being right around the corner, 1 week away from opening night. We'll be there. Hopefully you will be too. And until then, as always, peace out.